Chef presents the Family Circus.
If you grew up in America in the 1960s or 70s, and your family piled into the car for a burger, there is a very good chance the place you pulled into was not McDonald's. It had a bright sign, a smoky flame-broiled burger, and a magical counter where you got to build your own hamburger exactly the way you wanted it. It was called Burger Chef.
Burger Chef, you're incredibly
And at its peak in 1972, Burger Chef had over 1,200 restaurants across the country, second only to McDonald's, and closing the gap fast. And then it vanished. The last Burger Chef closed its doors in 1996, and today most Americans under the age of 50 have never even heard the name. Now, if you do remember Burger Chef, you might think of it as a McDonald's imitator, a lesser copy that simply couldn't keep up with the golden arches. And that is exactly backwards. The truth, the thing almost everyone gets wrong, is that Burger Chef was not the copycat. Burger Chef was the innovator. It invented some of the most important ideas in the history of fast food ideas you almost certainly credit to McDonald's. This is the story of the rise and fall of Burger Chef. And by the end, I will show you the single invention that Burger Chef gave the world an idea that went on to earn billions of dollars for somebody else. Our story begins in Indianapolis, Indiana, with two brothers, Frank and Donald Thomas. Their father ran a company that built equipment for restaurants, the machines that made milkshakes and soft-serve ice cream. And the Thomas brothers had inherited his gift. They were tinkerers, engineers at heart, always trying to build a better machine. In 1954, they patented a device that would flame broil a hamburger, cooking it over an open flame to give it a smoky, backyard grill flavor. In fact, they sold an early version of that broiler to a small hamburger stand down in Florida, a little operation that would one day grow into Burger King. But the brothers kept tinkering and improving their design. And then they had an idea. To show off their wonderful new broiler, why not open a restaurant of their own? So in 1957, in Indianapolis, they opened the very first Burger Chef at first, almost as a showroom for the machine. It was an instant hit, and the Thomas brothers suddenly realized they were no longer in the equipment business. They were in the hamburger business. Now, plenty of people opened a burger stand in the 1950s. What made Burger Chef extraordinary, and this is the whole heart of the story, is that it could not stop inventing. The first thing was the burger itself. Flame-broiled, for that smoky taste no griddle could match, and cheap a hamburger for just 15 cents, right in line with McDonald's. But the Thomas brothers did not stop there. The second thing was a stroke of genius they called the Works Bar. At most fast food places, you took your burger the way the kitchen made it, and that was that. But at Burger Chef, there was a counter loaded with toppings, pickles, onions, relish, tomatoes, lettuce, and you dressed your own burger, exactly the way you liked it. You built it yourself. For a kid, that was not lunch. That was an event. And it made Burger Chef feel like your restaurant, in a way the competition simply did not. The third thing was that Burger Chef kept inventing menu items that the giants would later borrow. In 1965, it introduced a double-decker burger with a special sauce called the Big Chef. And if that reminds you of a certain famous sandwich, well, McDonald's would not introduce the Big Mac until 3 years later. In 1968, Burger Chef added a quarter-pound burger, the Super Chef. It put salad bars in its restaurants, and it was a marketing wizard, building a whole friendly cast of cartoon mascots. A character named Burger Chef and his little sidekick, Jeff, to charm families and children. And here is the thing you may remember in your bones if you were there. Pulling up to that sign, walking to the Works Bar and piling the toppings on yourself. The smoky smell of the flame broiler, Burger Chef and Jeff smiling down at you. For a whole generation of American families, Burger Chef was the burger place every bit as much a part of childhood as the Golden Arches. By the late 1960s, Burger Chef was growing so fast that it caught the eye of a giant. In 1968, the General Foods Corporation, the enormous packaged food company behind household names like Jell-O and Maxwell House Coffee, bought Burger Chef from the Thomas brothers for nearly $20 million, with the deep pockets of a corporate giant behind it. Burger Chef expanded at a blistering pace, and by 1972, it had passed 1,200 restaurants, the #2 burger chain in the entire country. McDonald's, at the top, had only a few hundred more. For one shining moment, it genuinely looked as though Burger Chef might catch McDonald's and take the crown. And then, in 1973, Burger Chef unveiled its masterpiece, the single most important thing it ever did. It created a special meal, just for children, that bundled together a burger, fries, a drink, a cookie, and the magic touch, a small toy, all in colorful packaging, printed with stories and puzzles about Burger Chef and Jeff and their cartoon friends. They called it the Funmeal, and it was the very first meal of its kind in the history of fast food. A meal built entirely around the joy of a child. Remember that, because it is about to become the most important detail in this entire story. But at the exact moment Burger Chef reached its peak, something was quietly going wrong at the top. And it is not what most people assume. The fall of Burger Chef came from 3 directions, and the first one was the root of all the others. The first problem was that Burger Chef now belonged to the wrong kind of company. Think about what General Foods actually was. It was a packaged goods company. It made products that sat on a grocery shelf in a box. Jell-O, coffee, cereal, and running a box of Jell-O is nothing at all like running 1,000 restaurants. Each one with its own staff, its own grill, its own rush at noon, its own 1,000 daily problems. General Foods did not understand the restaurant business, and its answer to nearly every question was the same one: expand, faster, open more stores, grow the numbers. It pushed Burger Chef to open restaurants at a reckless pace, in too many places, too quickly. The second problem was that the money began to bleed out. All that reckless expansion did not produce the profits General Foods expected. Instead, it produced losses, and by 1972, they were serious enough that General Foods was forced to write down the value of Burger Chef by tens of millions of dollars. And here is a rule about big corporations that never changes. The moment a parent company decides that one of its divisions is a problem child, it stops believing in it. It stops investing. It starts looking for the exit. Burger Chef had gone, almost overnight, from the crown jewel to the headache. And the third problem was that the competition was getting sharper at the worst possible time. While Burger Chef churned through executives and strategies under a distracted, disappointed corporate parent, McDonald's and Burger King were pouring enormous energy into marketing, consistency, and relentless growth. Burger Chef was fighting the best-run companies in the industry, with one hand tied behind its back by an owner that had lost interest. And that brings us to the cruelest twist in the whole story, the fatal blow. Remember the Funmeal, that brilliant little box, invented in 1973, that gave a child a toy with their lunch. 6 years later, in 1979, McDonald's launched a nearly identical idea. They called it the Happy Meal. And the Happy Meal did not just do well. It became one of the most successful products in the entire history of fast food. Sold literally billions of times. A permanent fixture of American childhood, printing money for McDonald's for decades to come. Burger Chef had invented the idea first. And so Burger Chef sued McDonald's a $5.5 million lawsuit, claiming McDonald's had copied its Funmeal, and Burger Chef lost. Sit with that for a moment. Burger Chef came up with one of the great ideas in the history of the industry. A rival took that idea and turned it into a fortune. And when Burger Chef went to court to claim what it had created, it walked away with nothing. There is a hard lesson buried in that courtroom. It is not enough to invent the future. You have to be strong enough to hold on to it. Burger Chef had the ideas, every single one of them, right. What it did not have was the focus, the discipline, and the right owner to turn those ideas into an empire. And so, one by one, it handed its best ideas to the company across the street that could. After that, the end came the way it so often does, slowly, and then all at once. By 1982, General Foods had seen enough. It sold Burger Chef to a Canadian company called Imasco, which happened to own the Hardee's hamburger chain, for $44 million, a shadow of the empire it once was. and Amasco had no interest in keeping the Burger Chef name alive. One by one, the Burger Chef restaurants were converted into Hardee's. The bright signs came down, the works bars were torn out. Burger Chef and Jeff disappeared. And in 1996, the very last restaurant to carry the Burger Chef name closed its doors for good. From over 1,200 locations, all the way back to zero. And yet here is the strange and wonderful thing. Burger Chef never really disappeared at all. Because if you walk into almost any fast food restaurant in America today, you are surrounded by its ghost. That flame-broiled burger, that is the signature of Burger King now. That self-serve toppings idea, letting the customer build their own meal, it is everywhere. And above all, every single time a child opens a cardboard box and pulls out a small toy with their burger and fries, at any chain, anywhere in the world, that is Burger Chef's idea, living on, unattributed, in the hands of everyone but Burger Chef. The company even found a small kind of immortality in fiction, when it turned up as the centerpiece of a famous storyline on the television show Mad Men, a symbol of the golden age of American fast food. So what do we take from all of this? There are business lessons here about selling your company to the wrong owner, and about the danger of growth for its own sake. But for me, the lesson that stays is the oldest and saddest one. There is the tragedy of the inventor who does not get the reward. Burger Chef saw the future of fast food more clearly than almost anyone alive. The flame broiler, the build-your-own burger, the double-decker with special sauce. The meal built around a child's delight. It dreamed up all of it first, and then it handed every one of those dreams to the giant across the street and quietly faded away. Its ideas did not fail. Burger Chef failed its ideas, because that is the truth this story keeps teaching us. Having the right idea is only half the battle. The other half, the harder half, is being strong enough, and disciplined enough, and lucky enough in who owns you, to actually hold on to what you created. The world does not always reward the one who invents the future. Very often, it rewards the one who is still standing to collect. Now I would love to hear from you. Do you remember Burger Chef? Do you remember building your burger at the Works Bar, or Burger Chef and Jeff, or the very first Funmeal? What did you always order? Leave a comment below and share the memory. And if this story took you back, take a moment to subscribe, because here on this channel, we tell these stories one at a time. After all, every empire has its rise, and every rise has its fall.